There are a number of macro commands that allow you to put up a dialog that can be used to interact with the user. The input macro command puts up a dialog that prompts the user to enter the values for up to 5 different variables, and these can be either ease variables or macro variables. Both numerical and string variables can be entered in this way. The variables that are entered can then be used in subsequent macro commands or within the main program while solving. So the format of the input command is shown here, and you can see that the list of variables comes at the end, and again you can see there's both numerical or string variables can be included in this list. There's 2 optional flags, the /u flag then make sure that the units of the variables are displayed in the input dialog, and then the /d flag puts up default values of the variables, and these default values will be whatever the previous value of the variables were. Alright, let's do a quick example where we will display a dialog that allows the user to enter a fluid name and then also a temperature and a pressure, and then we will calculate the enthalpy of that fluid. So let's see. I guess in the equations window itself, I need to set the unit system. So $unit system, I'll use I guess SI, mass, Celsius, kilojoule, and kilopascal. And then we will calculate the enthalpy. So H equals enthalpy of some fluid that is specified by this string $, at T equals T and P equals P. Alright, and then the $, the T, and the P all need to be specified by the user in the dialog. So now I'll, I guess, open up a macro. So here's my macro. And what's the first thing I need to do? I think I need to set some reasonable values of TP and $, so that I have some default values to use in the input. So I'm going to set P is equal to 100 kilopascals, and T is equal to something like, I don't know, 15C, and let's set the fluid equal to R515A. Alright, and then what I'll do is call the input dialog. So input, I do want to put in units, I do want to use default values, and then my string list is T and P and $. So those are the variables that the user will set, and once you set them, I'll solve. So I think that should work. Let's go ahead and run this. So run. So here it asks for the value of these variables. I can change them or leave them at their default. So let's just make that 25 maybe, and hit OK. You can see it solves. And if I go to the main equation window, there's my value for the enthalpy. Maybe I want to set the units for that. Alright, so that works pretty well. I think maybe the last thing we would want to do is use a message dialog to show the enthalpy to the user once the calculations are done. Alright, so a message dialog has a different format, and you can see that format here. You are going to put up a dialog, and the message that's shown in the dialog is in this message string, so message $, and then the dialog will have up to 3 buttons, and the captions on these buttons are provided by these strings C1$, C2$, and C3$. And each of the captions needs to be less than 16 characters. What else? You can actually put a URL in your message $, in your string. In that case, it will become clickable. It'll be hot, so that's kind of handy. And then the last thing you can do is keep track of which of the 3 buttons the user selected to dismiss the dialog. So it will return, the message dialog macro will actually return a number that's either 1, 2, or 3, and that number corresponds to whether C1$, C2$, or C3$, whether which one of those buttons were actually pushed. Alright, so here we're going to just come back to our ease program, and now that I have a solution, I think I'll go ahead and create a string that I'd like to show to the user. So the string is going to say, what should it say? The calculated enthalpy is, and then space, and then I'll concatenate that using the 2 vertical lines here with the string, the number that is H turned into a string, and so the command for that is string $H, and I might as well put in the units as well. So let's concatenate that with the units are kilojoules per kilogram. Okay, so that's my message. So I want to do something like B is equal to message dialog, and my buttons are going to say either, I guess, calculate again, so again, or end. Right, so I either want to calculate do another calculation of the enthalpy, or I want to dismiss and be done. So if the user hits again, then B is going to be 1. If the user hits end, then B is going to be 2. And the message is this $. And I think that's it. And the last thing I need to do is make it so that if the user is selected again, I loop back to the top and do the whole thing again. So I guess what I would do is if B is equal to 1, then go to 10. And 10 should be up here at the top. Maybe I don't want to reset my default values, but certainly I want to go to at least here. So hopefully that works. So let's go ahead and try to run that and see. So it's asking for the same thing. I hit OK. And now I get this. The calculated enthalpy is 400.4 kilojoules per kilogram. If I hit again, it should ask me, keeping the default values for maybe R134A this time, and I'll hit OK. And it'll tell me that enthalpy. And if I'm done, then I hit end, and the whole thing is done. So hopefully that makes sense. There is one other dialog that's called Message Window, and it works just like Message Dialog, just like this one here. The difference is that if I'm in Message Dialog, I can't do anything to my ease program. You can see that here, right? I can only do keystrokes or mouse clicks inside of this dialog. Whereas if I do Message Window, it actually lets me go into my ease program, and the other windows are live. And that's handy sometimes if you're trying to open a whole bunch of ease programs one at a time, and you actually want to be able to manipulate what's going on in each of those ease programs before you go to the next one.